Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight on our news.
Press Secretary Anthony Newbold tight-lipped when asked about the missing Oban Energies file.
Nearly a month after it was slated to begin, the Shantytown committee is set to begin its census.
The Anglican community rocked by 2 homicides in less than 12 hours. We've got the story for you straight ahead.
The Minister of Health responds to claims that he's attacking the Bahamian dietary culture.
Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. Topping news tonight, the Oban Energy saga has taken yet another twist after senior police officials confirmed they are investigating the disappearance of the Oban project file from the Best Commission. Press Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister, Anthony Newbold, called it unacceptable and concerning. This as he insists the Minister administration is not seeking a way out of the controversial Oban deal. Julian Gray reports.
The Royal Bahamas Police Force has launched an investigation to determine how a file containing information about Oban Energies went missing from the Bahamas Environment, Science and Technology Commission. The Best Commission, which falls under the Office of the Prime Minister, is responsible for the review of environmental impact assessments and environmental management plans. Well, when questions about the missing Oban file were put to Press Secretary Anthony Newbold, he was tight-lipped about the matter.
I don't want to say much about this at all. The police has got it. They're investigating. They will let us know what their findings are.
The matter of the missing file is in the hands of the anti-corruption branch of the police force, and according to police, the file was reported missing over a week ago. They have started questioning persons from the department, and Assistant Commissioner of Police Paul Roll says they're making progress. Newbold said the government is concerned about anything being stolen and added that they are protective of all files. He assured that the missing file would not affect the status of the project. However, there is no word as to what information the file contained or how sensitive it was.
It contains information about Oban and the deal. That's important enough. How secret it should have been kept is part of the process. And if it has something to do with Oban, at some point it will be revealed. And you're asking these questions because you want answers. And you're not getting all of them because they're not always available. But at some point, all of this information about Oban is going to be made public.
Considering the commitment from the Minister administration to be open and transparent, questions circulated as to why the public was not informed when the Oban Energies file went missing.
There's nothing about that that's not transparent. If a file is missing, you send it to the police. Is that going to stop something? No, I don't think. It didn't send out a statement. It just went ahead and sent it on to the police. And if it was determined that it was something that would materially affect what was going on, I'm sure a statement would have been sent out.
The missing file is another blow to the already contentious deal, which was signed without an environmental impact assessment. The government recently came under fire from the opposition after both the Deputy Prime Minister and the Attorney General suggested the government has a way out of the deal. When questioned as to if the government is planning to walk away, Newbold said this.
Not as far as I'm aware. They're just saying, because everybody's been saying, how could you guys sign this? You are so dumb and stupid. What's wrong with you? And so the Deputy Prime Minister and the Attorney General is saying, listen, these are the facts. This is where we are. And if we had to do it, this is what will happen. That's about it. But there's no discussion about walking away from the deal.
No word on when the supplementary documents regarding the Oban deal will be released, but Newbold said it will be tabled. Reporting for our news, I'm Jillian Gray.
In other news, the Anglican community under heavy police presence today after 2 separate killings shook the inner city district in less than 12 hours. Jared Higgs tells us more.
Dozens of officers combed the streets of Anglican Tuesday as investigators work to solve 2 homicides reported less than 12 hours apart. Police Press Liaison Superintendent Shantytown.
Around 8:30 p.m. last night, within this same vicinity, a man was at the junction of Homestead Avenue and Homestead Street when a black Honda Fit pulled up. We were told that 2 men armed with firearms came from that vehicle. opened fire on the man, hitting him. Both persons got back into the vehicle, which sped off. The victim, who was injured, was taken to Princess Margaret Hospital and later succumbed to his injuries there.
Family members tell Our News that the victim of the first incident is Kenneth Hasty. He was described by his uncle, Prophet John, as a decent young man who struggled because his father is in prison.
He was around here, you know, before he got killed, he was playing with his little cousin and his aunt and everything. Yeah, he's a nice fella, man. There was no problem with that. Manly, you know. And he might have had everyone have their little problems on the street, but he was a nice, manly fella, man.
Pastor Carl Johnson of Agape and Ebenezer Seventh-day Adventist Church says Hasty made steps to turn things around by giving his life to the Lord.
I had the opportunity of meeting Kenneth for the first time Sunday night, and he came to the service and we extended an appeal to him, and he came forward and he was baptized that very evening. One day he gave his heart to the Lord, and the next night he was shot.
The second killing to rock the neighborhood took place hours later on Moore Avenue, just one street over from where the recently converted Hasty was killed.
Upon the arrival of officers, we discovered a male lying in a building with injuries to the body. Paramedics came to the scene. They attempted to revive the male, however they were unsuccessful, as he had succumbed to his injuries here at the scene.
Now, neighbors tell us that this morning's homicide took place right here on this doorstep next to their house. As you can see, this door is absolutely riddled with bullet holes. Police have locked it. They don't want anybody to go inside. Neighbors say that if police had stayed in the area overnight, this may have been prevented.
What I'm saying, if somebody get killed, why you move off the scene so quick? You're supposed to be around here until now. Look how you park up now. I don't like things like that, because I have 4 sons in the back there. That could have been one of my sons. They killed accidentally. They could just come a door, and by them doing that, they could get killed right in the back there too. That would have been 2 or 3 get killed.
You heard the shots this morning?
Yes, I heard it. That's what wake me up.
How did it sound?
And they had it there for like 5 minutes doing that. They made it. They shoot at the boy eye and thing.
According to the Nassau Guardian records, 26 murders have been reported so far this year. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
Well, ahead of a European Union meeting scheduled for April 12th, the Minnis administration is optimistic about the prospect of being removed from the European Union's blacklist. That according to Minister for Financial Services, Trade and Industry Brent Simonet, who says the government is working feverishly to ensure the Bahamas is taken off that list.
The government has made representations to the EU about the the pathway forward between now and December 2018, which will result in certain consultations and potential amendments to some reporting requirements and other issues with regard to the financial services industry. And we're looking at that at the moment.
This comes after Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance Peter Turnquest told the Tribune yesterday that the Bahamas could be removed from the EU's blacklist as early as this Thursday. Turnquest added that the government was hoping to get an indication of delisting progress by April 12th. The EU Code of Conduct Group will meet on that day to discuss the nations currently on that list. The Bahamas was added to the EU blacklist of non-cooperative jurisdictions for tax purposes last month. And after weeks of delay, the government is set to begin its Shantytown survey in a bid to eradicate the unregulated communities that have been home to thousands of illegal immigrants for up to decades. This as Foreign Affairs Minister and North Abaco MP Darren Henfield says the move is long overdue, but won't be an overnight fix. Jasmine Brown reports.
Both Henfield and folks insist the illegal communities must be eradicated, and they say the first step to seeing that happen is learning who's living in these communities.
Folks who chairs the Shantytown Action Task Force first announced plans to conduct the census in early March, but there have been repeated delays. Last week, he blamed the long Easter holiday weekend, but outside Cabinet on Tuesday, folks insisted there will be no more delays.
We are beginning a national survey beginning this Sunday from 2 to 5 p.m. We're going to deal with all 11 of the shanty towns here in New Providence first. We're trying to ascertain how many residents are in each shanty town, their ages, whether the children are in school, whether there are any disabilities. There's a whole series of questions, some 13 questions.
The survey will be conducted at shanty town communities throughout the country. In March, folks led a delegation to Abaco to tour Shantytowns commonly known as the Mud and Pigeon P in Marsh Harbor and Sandbanks and the Farm in Treasure Key. Following that trip, folks said the Shantytown Committee would conduct the survey to determine the number of residents in these communities as well as collate pertinent information. Given the fact that his constituency is home to two of the largest shantytowns in the country, Henfield says the government is determined to address the issue that has persisted for too long.
And we are determined to remove them from the landscape of the Bahamas, but we will do so in a humane fashion. Most Haitian Bahamians that I speak to, or individuals of Haitian origin, background that I speak to, do not want these communities. They do not wish to see these communities existing in the Bahamas. They would like to come and live in regular communities like regular Bahamians.
Meanwhile, folks says there will no doubt be some type of fallout despite government's efforts to shut down shantytowns in a humane manner.
The government has the political will, the Prime Minister has the political will to regulate all unregulated communities.
11 teams that comprise of 5 members each will carry out the survey. As for the costs attached, folks did not give a figure but said he expected it will be minimal. Reporting for our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
And Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis will visit Peru and London this week, according to his press secretary Anthony Newbold, who told reporters today that Minnis will discuss his travel plans in Parliament tomorrow.
He will talk about his trips, his upcoming trips to Peru and London. He will leave, of course, on Thursday to begin those trips. He will go first to Peru, and then after his meeting in Peru, he will travel to London for the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting before returning home.
Deputy Prime Minister Peter Turnquest will serve as acting Prime Minister while Dr. Minnis is abroad. While in opposition, Minnis often criticized members of the Christie administration and pledged to compile a report on their travel costs. Save for the Prime Minister's brief trip to Texas, that hasn't happened. Newbold was also asked whether the Prime Minister intends to keep his promise of quarterly press briefings.
It's his call. I don't make that decision, Travis.
You made that promise?
I don't make that decision, though. That's not a decision that I make. The Prime Minister will make that decision when he will sit down, if he does. And again, one of the reasons for that was because all of you said you're not going to have any access to the Prime Minister. He goes nowhere where 4 or 5 reporters are not questioning him all the time.
Meet the press. We haven't had an opportunity to sit down with him.
No, you do that. You do that anyway.
Well, despite questions over the Chinese labor component on the Pointe project, Immigration Minister Brent Simonet tells reporters he's unaware of a spike in work permits being issued for the multi-million-dollar project.
Okay, I'm not aware of any excessive amount of work permits being issued by my department to the CCA or the Pointe, so we'll look into that.
Under the terms of the heads of agreement signed with the project's developer, China Construction America, Bahamians should make up 70% of the workforce. Simonet says he could not confirm the number of Chinese workers currently employed on the construction site, as the Immigration Department's computer system does not allow officials to work those figures. However, Labor Minister Dion Fowkes says the issue is one that is still a major concern for the government.
The Prime Minister is concerned about the ratio, but it's an agreement that we met in place that the former government signed off on, 30 to 70%. We are uncomfortable with that ratio, but we have to honor the arrangement that the previous government made.
Still to come on our news, the Attorney General's office reportedly reviewing a controversial court ruling affecting trade unions. Plus, the Health Minister responds to breadbasket backlash. That and more when our news returns.